Hey guys, Alyssa Lebrecq, nutritionist and gut expert. I'm back. I took last week off, needed a break to be honest with you. And I'm sharing that with you because we're going to talk about some of the emotional connection behind constipation tonight. And one thing that I really want to run home with you guys is that fixing your gut, achieving true health, is beyond just taking supplements and eating foods. And the big piece that a lot of people miss is addressing the whole mental, emotional, spiritual component to healing. And one of the number one things that allows our physical body to break down is when we are not in alignment. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by not being in alignment is when you're busy in your lifestyle, when you're not saying no, you're not setting boundaries, you're taking on too much, you're not sleeping enough, and all of those things then end up in you not making good food choices, which ends up turning into obviously symptoms presenting. And so when I talk about fixing your gut, please know that I'm not talking about just eating foods and taking supplements. And in order for me to help teach you how to fix your gut, I gotta walk my talk. And that means resting hard. And I am going to, again, continue to share that with you, but use last week as an example because I've been going, and I needed to take a break to refuel my creative juices, which are not quite back yet, because when you're healing and when you're resting, you need more than just one day, which brings me to another really great point when we are working to fix our gut and heal our body, is that you, again, can't just be food and supplements. You've also got to do the self-care work. The emotional, mental work means taking care of yourself more than just once a week for 15 minutes, right? There's this, kind of popular fad type feeling going on around self-care right now, like it's a hot topic, like it's something cool to do, but everyone's getting it wrong. Like everyone is discussing it in the sense of like, oh, it's like self-care Sunday, like gonna have a hot bath today, or like went and got my nails done, or my hair did, like whatever works for you. There's no judgment there. But let me be clear that you can't just self-care for 15 minutes and even an hour, heck, even 2 hours once a week. You need to be on that shit like a fly on shit, right? Like you need to be on your self-care and on your mental, emotional work every day, all day. Just like you're putting the attention and focus into figuring out foods and supplements, you need to be figuring out where in your life is there additional stress, is there decision, like lack of boundaries, decisions you're making that are not in service to you, where are you out of alignment? A good sign of when you're out of alignment is when you don't want to do something, like when you have resistance towards something. Have you ever said yes to something and later you're like, fuck, like I really didn't want to do that. I really don't want to have to go do that thing, but I already promised that I would do it, and so I can't renege, I can't take back. And we have a hard time taking care of ourselves. We just continue to go forth and people please. Who here has done that? I'm not the only one. So even if you guys are watching this, you're like, nope, not me. I see you doing this stuff, right? When that kind of thing is happening, where you're doing things that you don't really want to be doing, you're saying yes when you want to be saying no, that's a good sign. Here's another good sign that something is out of alignment. If you're not sleeping well, if you have high stress, if you have anxiety, if you have a busy mind, if you're feeling uneasy at any part in your day, if you're feeling anything but peace, joy, and bliss, you are out of alignment. There's something out of alignment. And that might sound really hard to hear because that's probably the majority of you guys watching this. And a lot of people might even say, well, that's not even really attainable to feel, joy, peace, and bliss on a daily basis. You're right. Life happens. Let's be realistic. Having said that, though, Most people rarely feel those emotions in a year. They might experience it on a vacation when they're escaping from their day-to-day life. And we see this often, and maybe you guys have experienced this and will resonate with this, when you're constipated all through the week and then you hit the weekend and all of a sudden you can poop, or you really struggle to poop on a day-to-day basis, but as soon as vacation hits and you're at home and you're feeling relaxed, you poop a lot better. I hear this from teachers a lot. School year, can't poop. Can never poop, but summer comes along and they start feeling so much better and they start pooping again. And then they go back to work and they feel like shit again. Those are signs, guys. Your body is saying, I fucking hate this. Stop doing this. It might require you to make big changes in your life that scare you, like changing your career, leaving a spouse, eliminating some friendships that are no longer serving you. But it also means really good things, like leaning into the things that bring you joy, that make you feel good. If anything, again, is making you feel anxious, eliminate it. Eliminate it. Don't stress, don't create a busy mind on how you need to work it out. Get it gone. Okay, so let's talk about constipation and some more of the emotional connections underneath this, because it's a bit of a loaded topic. Quite literally, you're loaded with poop. And so constipation, and I'm going to say all of your symptoms for that matter, are absolutely connected to your emotional body and your mental body, we'll call it. So when we talk about a physical symptom, it starts with a mental and or emotional breakdown. I'm not saying you're having a mental breakdown. What I mean is something in the mental, like the thoughts that you're keeping and the emotions, the emotional body, the emotions that you're feeling, there's something out of alignment here. There's something breaking down here in the sense that there isn't balance, harmony, peace, whatever you want to call it. Okay, because these two categories are out of whack, then this is what starts to generate physical imbalances. This is, again, always tough for people to process because they're like, nope, Alyssa, I just have to take out the garlic and onions because the low FODMAP diet told me to. Nope. No. It's why so many of you guys are eating the cleanest diets. You've taken out the foods and you still can't figure out what food is the problem. It's because food isn't the problem. Your gut and the emotions are. Okay? Your gut and how you're conducting yourself in your day-to-day life are likely not serving you. So we need to dive deeper. So let's take a look at one of the most important things when we're looking at constipation. I want you to think about this for a second in terms of overall tension in the body. If your body is struggling to release and let go of poop, where it's happening in one area, it's happening in others. Right? It's just like the example of if someone has a messy car, then their room, like their house, their everything is probably a mess, right? If someone's not organized in one area, they're likely not organized in other areas. So in other words, if you're not letting go of your poop, you're probably not letting go of other things in your life. And that's typically because there's a lot of like tension and built up energy that you're grasping onto. There's like this struggle to let it go. So when constipation is present, those people are typically struggling to let shit go, both topic-wise, like day-to-day life, and physically, literally poop. Okay, so lack of expression, struggle to process emotions, struggle to digest a situation or scenario that you're experiencing in your day-to-day life. Most people who experience constipation are fucking people pleasers. And I can say that because I was that person too. And people pleasers, here's what happens when you're a people pleaser. You are stressed out. You're stressed out because you're constantly, your mind is spinning. You're like trying to figure out, should I make this decision? Will that upset them? But if I make this decision, that might help this person, but it's going to upset this person. Right? Think about this in terms of dinner. This happens so much. I hear this all the time, where typically the mom is making dinner for the family. And I work with a lot of moms, and so that's why I'm saying typically moms, not because moms are the only ones that cook, to be clear. Okay? So typically I hear that they're cooking dinner for the family. And so they're thinking, okay, like I know I need to be eating this type of food because my gut reacts and I can't eat those foods. But if I cook the foods that I really want, then my husband and my kids won't eat those foods. And that dynamic of trying to people please and take care of everyone else is such a common dynamic for people who have constipation. What this is this overall tension is like this tight, restricted, you're uptight all the time. You're constantly spinning, worrying, wondering, and you're not letting shit go and just letting the chips fall where they may, right? In other words, what that could look like is, do you know what? This is the kind of food that I need to eat for my body. And I happen to be the person who's cooking today. And so guess what, family? This is what we're eating for dinner. And if it's not what you like, that's totally okay. There's a full fridge of food there, of foods that you can make. Now, your husband or your wife or your older kids, like teenage kids, are more than capable of making foods for themselves. So telling yourself that it's your responsibility to do that is part of this broken dynamic, this misalignment, and that's part of what's keeping you constipated. Is this making sense? So guys, people pleasing is such a killer. Mentally, emotionally, and physically, it will annihilate your gut. It will keep you constipated. It will keep you in this stressed cycle that will deplete your enzymes, deplete your good bacteria, cause leaky gut. This is not opinion. This is not some woo-woo thing. This has been proven through studies and research. Okay, so people pleasing, gotta go. But this fear of displeasing goes a little bit deeper. It's often that most people who are constipated, they don't like to be wrong. And so this is usually a type A personality person. Where are the type A personalities? Again, I used to, when I was struggling with my gut issues, I fluctuated between diarrhea and constipation. Next week, we're doing a whole talk on the underlying emotions behind diarrhea, but I relate to both. Who here is a type A personality? Now, a lot of people think that's a bad thing, but let me explain the characteristics here. And you put your hands up in the comments if this is you. So type A personality, again, people pleaser, but more often than not, the constipated type A personality is the type of person who gets shit done, right? You're the type of person that when something's got to get done, you're the person that everyone comes to, because they know that you will do it likely better and faster. And you know this about yourself. And so in a lot of cases, even when you do have help, the dialogue in your head is like, well, I'm going to do it better and faster. And so it's just easier if I do it. And so this type A constipated type personality is the type of person who takes on way more than they can chew. Right? They're the type of person that's carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. They're not good at asking for help, and they typically will push through the pain. So your body's been telling you for years and years that it needs you to throw it a bone. You've been constipated for years and years, and you don't listen until it gets to a point where it's affecting your quality of life. Constipated people, again, don't let that shit go. They push through the pain. And so these underlying emotional symptoms or emotional feelings, habits, behaviors, this is why it's affecting your bowels. Because when you're type A, go, do it all yourself, don't ask for help, no boundaries, people pleasing, don't want to disappoint or be wrong. When we're conducting our life this way, you've got such a tight grip on life. Again, you cannot let this shit go. And so part of the activity, you can take all the laxatives you want. You can eat the cleanest diet in the world you want. But if you've got a tight grip on life, you're not going to let shit go. So part of this healing process becomes so much deeper than, again, food and supplements. We really need to reevaluate what is not serving us in our day-to-day life. And so one of the number one things that those people who are constipated need to work on is boundaries. Boundaries. They're so difficult for those that struggle to make them, because for someone who is struggling with boundaries, let me know if you feel this way. You feel like it's being mean or rude if you were to say no to someone. That if you committed to something, let's say you agreed to help a friend out or volunteer at something, or I don't know, if you've gotten yourself into some sort of situation that you don't want to be doing, you feel like you can't go and be like, sorry, things have changed for me. I can't be a part of this anymore. Because that feels mean and rude and bad, right? And so what tends to happen is you're also the type of person that gets walked all over, right? Because you're the go-getter, you're the get shit done person. And people know that, so they just keep dumping shit on you. And because you're not setting boundaries for yourself, you keep saying yes. You keep saying yes. And part of the reason you keep saying yes is because you think that that makes you more lovable, that it makes you more valuable, that you're worth more just by doing. And so I'm going to tell you right now, in order to fix your gut, you're going to have to do a lot of undoing. You need to rest. You need to self-care every single day, all day long. Not just, again, not the 5-minute, took a 5-minute meditation after I had a meltdown at the end of the day. Don't wait till you get to the tipping point. Okay, boundaries is the next thing we've been talking about. You're going to have to start saying no so that you can start saying yes to yourself. If you're watching this right now and the dialogue in your head is, but I don't have time, know that that's part of your ego that is trying to protect you by saying, don't change anything. Stay in your comfort zone. But what you've been doing has not been working. And so in order for you to get a different result, you are going to need to change. And supplements and foods will only get you so far. True depth of healing is going through the muck. It is doing the deep emotional work. It is facing your fears, facing your traumas, facing your inner child, and healing with those pieces of yourself and coming out the other end, you're adult, grounded, big, strong, confident, and not needing other people's permission, validation, or opinion, quite frankly, to determine your worth. So say no. Say no. Set the boundaries. Now, the other interesting thing about those that are constipated is you're stubborn as hell. I see you over there. And I know that because, again, I was there with you at one point. And the thing about being stubborn is it's not a badge of honor. I know that you're looking at that as a strong quality, and it is in some sense. It's served you in a lot of ways. But being stubborn is no longer serving you. Because at this point, your constipation and the pain and the symptoms that you're going through are all messages coming from your body. And part of the stubbornness has been keeping you going and pushing through. You've been running on adrenaline, and it's masking the severity of your symptoms. Because what many of you guys are telling yourself is, well, I can still go to work, I can still function, so it's really not that bad. So the question becomes, guys, how bad does it need to get for you to be ready? Don't be stubborn. Say no, start setting some boundaries, and let that shit go. Because it's no longer serving you. And then, please, for the love of God, guys, stop with the restrictive diets. Because your healing is going to come from addressing this whole big emotional, mental body, emotional body, and then we can better support the physical body. So I'll share this with you. When I was fixing my gut, my journey to fixing my gut was doing the mental and emotional work, aka get a dang therapist. Do some inner child work, scream it out, like do some real deep healing. Do some real deep healing. Get to know yourself on the deepest level possible, and then support all of that process with nutrition, with supplementation, and that is what's going to fix your gut. If you are sitting here watching this and all of the things that you've tried have been limited to just dietary changes, you've tried keto, you've tried paleo, you've taken out the dairy, you've taken out the gluten, and you're thinking, I've tried everything and nothing is working, know that there's so much opportunity for you to heal. And you've tried everything but fixing your gut. And if you're sitting here watching this and you're like, oh no, Alyssa, I've done even more than that. I have done all the dietary changes and I've taken the probiotics. I've done the fiber. I've even done enzymes. That's fantastic. But you are still missing tremendous amounts of pieces to this puzzle, just even from a physical standpoint. And you're still going to need to do the emotional work. And even then, when it feels like you've tried everything, you've really still only truly tried everything but fixing your gut. Okay? This has not been for lack of trying though. I see you. You're doing the real work. You're trying to do the real work to fix this. But guessing, being stubborn, and not being willing to make changes is, remember, indicative of those that are constipated, and those qualities, those habits are no longer serving you. So it's time to ask for help. So if you guys are stuck and you're feeling like you need support, we're right here. We're just a click away. If you have not already jumped into our free Facebook group, come on over. It's the Love Your Guts IBS support group. And if you're feeling really raw and vulnerable after diving deep into this talk tonight, I get it. It's deep and it's hard, and there's even deeper conversations to have beyond this. If you're not comfortable posting that in our free Facebook group, then shoot me a private message. I'm right here to support you. Don't be stubborn. Ask for help. We got you. Okay, guys, have a great weekend and we'll talk soon.